Thank you for tuning in. You're watching The Property Guide in ET Now. This is the show where we help you make the perfect property investment. Now, before we start the show, if you have any feedback at all about buying a home or a legal problem that you're facing, write to us. Our email ID is at the bottom of your screen. We'll try and answer as many of your questions as possible. And remember, you'll find a copy of this show on our Facebook page as well. Let's get started. There's a huge inventory pile-up in the NCR market. We'll find out if the freebies are reason enough for you to start buying. We'll answer questions that you sent in about NCR, Bangalore and Hyderabad. Joining me in the studio this week, Ghulam Zia, Executive Director at Knight Frank India, and of course Jayashree Kurup, Head of Content and Research at magicbricks.com. Jayashree's been travelling. We missed her. Jayashree, it's a pleasure to have you back, especially on an episode that we're talking about the NCR on. Now, it has been a terribly slow market in the NCR. We've heard sales volumes have dropped very, very drastically. In fact, one of the reports actually told us that close to 72% of units that were supposed to be handed over this year are delayed. What does this mean for developers, and what does this mean for you as an investor? Jayashree, I'm going to bring you in first. Now, I do know at Magic Bricks you have a section that considers and that lists all of the offers in the market. What kind of offers are you witnessing in the NCR market right now?
You know, Faye, we've just come after the Navratra period, and most of these offers were made by developers during the Navratras. This is just before Ram Navami. And while this is not a hot property buying season, I think the Navratras are considered auspicious enough for the developers to come out with various offers. Now, there was a pay for 2 BHK, get a 3 BHK offer. There have been 10% of booking amount. Then you go for 80% within the next 45 days. Then the last 10% you pay at the time of possession, and the developer will pay your EMIs for this period. There have been lots of such offers. Now, these offers are not bad for a consumer. Did it trigger a huge amount of buy? I don't think so. My feedback from developers and brokers has been that the market has been more or less where it has been. There have been too many delayed projects, and there have been too many, rip-offs, so to speak. You may have promised a certain specification, not delivered that. In terms of quality of delivery, some quality has been found lacking in very large developers. So the consumer does not trust the market, and just a freebie is not enough to trigger a buy.
Ghulam, I want you to, address this one statistic that we've read about. 72% of the 6.45 lakh rupee homes that were supposed to be handed over to buyers this year have been delayed from anywhere between 2 to 4 years in the NCR region. What's your response to that? Because from what Jayashree is telling us, more than, a problem in sales, it's a problem in trust at this point. So it might not just be, infrastructure and interest rates coming down, which didn't come down this week, but it might be a little more than that as a problem in the NCR.
Well, it's a whole market which is showing enough signs of crumbling. If the sales have shrunk, as we know last year, hardly some 40 to 43 odd thousand units were sold in the whole year, where the market should have actually absorbed nothing less than 100,000 kind of a thing. So it's a complete 60% kind of a shave off. So what does this huge shave off mean? It obviously is troubling the developers a lot. Their projects are getting delayed because of lack of funding for construction. So due to all these delays, it's ultimately consumer who is also seeing all this happening, and the next consumer who's supposed to buy something is steering clear of the market, not coming in and signing the dotted lines. So all that is just compounding. It's kind of a cyclic reaction which has started, and the more the time is passing, the more delays are coming in, and the more lack of trust, or the more erosion of trust. So it's kind of a spiral that the whole market is getting into, and it's getting dangerous by the day.
What's your outlook right now for the NCR market in particular? I know what your outlook is for the entire market, but this market is particularly suffering. Do you see anything on the horizon at all that might look like it can improve the situation?
Nothing of positivity is coming into the market. And in the lack of it, if it is the way the markets are moving without any impulsive purchase or some signal for buyers that things are going to be better in times to come, I don't see anything changing in this market, at least for next 3 to 6 months.
So it's certainly not a seller's market, it's not a buyer's market. Whose market is this?
Well, it's not a market at all. Because I'm talking about a 60% of the erosion in the market, and the first quarter, which has just completed, hasn't really seen any movement. And that is terrifying enough. for me to still try to figure out what is it that can get the buyers back in the market. No amount of freebies, no amount of discounts. Nothing has been able to really bring the buyers out of their slumber. And that's exactly, even I fail to understand what will bring them out of the shell.
What's your advice to an end-use buyer right now in the NCR, someone who's looking to buy a home that they want to live in? Would you recommend that they look for something that's already constructed, a couple of years old, so that they can just move into it and there's no risk?
Indeed, absolutely. Because of all these delays that we're talking about, the statistics that I was hearing from you, it's actually very risky for somebody. Or else if there is this horizon available where a developer says 2 years and you can wait for 4, then still it doesn't matter for you to buy. Else if you want something in foreseeable future to go and stay, then I guess you have to buy something which is ready off the shelf.
All right, Jayashree, just going over the list of freebies or offers right now in the NCR market, it's nothing new that we haven't already seen before. 80-20, 80-10-10, 30-70, different payment schemes. I mean, pay for 2 bedrooms, get 3 bedrooms, a gold coin, things like that. But all of these offers are on pre-launch or launch phase. When Ghulam was just telling us, there's a huge risk there of delays. What is your advice right now for someone who's looking at these offers? Should we consider them at all? Or instead, like you always say, should I sit across the table and drive a hard cash bargain or a hard discount bargain with my developer?
Actually, I would say that drive a hard discount bargain with your developer. Today, the market has so much stock in various stages of completion that the developer is willing to talk, and there are very few buyers in the market. So the buyers who are there are in a position to dictate terms, and I think that is a good thing for the consumer. Also, remember that the NCR, there are certain regions where there is a policy problem. The National Green Tribunal, the land dispute, the Greater Noida stretch, and those have not been completely sorted out. So do not, please understand and take the advice of brokers or consultants, because you would not know which areas come in the trouble zones, and do not buy in those zones, because there is a legal problem. Until that is sorted out by the courts, there is very little chance of you getting possession of those projects.
All right, so that's the advice you're getting right now. If you're a buyer in the NCR region, be very, very, very careful. There are legal problems, there are problems with delays. Like Ghulam and both Jayashree told us, don't get in at the pre-launch phase or at the launch phase right now. It's going to be a very, very long wait, and it seems like something that's going to possibly get worse in the future. If you have to buy something that's already complete and occupied, or something that's as close to completion as possible, and be very careful of all of the permissions and the occupation certificate. Make sure your developer has that. But just so you know, here's a list of interesting offers that are available in the NCR market right now. Take a look.
The realtors in NCR have put various freebies on offer to attract potential home buyers during the Navratri festival. Here are some of the interesting offers. The Supertech offers buy 2 get 3 on its projects in Greater Noida, where the customer will have to pay for a 2 BHK unit and will get a 3 BHK unit at the same price. Ajnara India Limited are offering a 10-80-10 scheme along with no pre-EMI clause on the projects. On its project 52nd Avenue in Noida, the MMR Group has an offer where you pay 90% of the total amount and get 12% assured return every year, or pay 50% and get 11% assured return per annum till offer of possession. If you're looking for money discounts, the Avalon Group is giving discounts of Rs 1.2 to 2 lakhs on the booking of 2 BHK and 3 BHK flats respectively on its projects in Bhiwari, Neemrana and Vrindavan.
Welcome back. You're watching the Property Guide in ET now. Thank you for staying with us. Ghulam and Jayashree are with us right now. We're going to try and answer as many of the questions you sent in. Remember, if you have a question about buying a home or making an investment in real estate, write to us. Email ID is at the bottom of your screen. You can also reach me on Twitter. Arun has written in. He lives in Dubai. He's looking to invest in a 3-bedroom apartment in Gurgaon with a budget of 90 to 1.2 crore rupees. He's not looking for immediate possession, but he's looking for an insured delivery within 2 years' time frame. Please suggest some good projects. He also wants to know if it's advisable to go through a bank so that his investment is protected in case the developer defaults. Now, in case the developer defaults, unfortunately, the buck always stops with the consumer. But let's take this step by step. Is it any way at all to buy an apartment in Gurgaon that will deliver for sure in 2 years?
As we were talking just a short while back, lots of projects are nearing completion. So as Jayashree was mentioning, you have the whole host of projects at different stages of development cycle. So there's a huge inventory available which is nearing completion. So if somebody says that I'm going to give you a possession in 6 months, you should buy it, because even if it is 6 months, it may come to you about 2 years from now. So the 2-year time horizon that Arun is talking about still can be met with huge amount of inventory in the market. And also lots of developers of repute are in Gurgaon market. And as I see, the budget he's talking about is good enough, about 6,000 to 8,000 rupees a square feet kind of a number that I would look at as something which will give him huge number of opportunities. So anything which is nearing completion, I would rather wait for it than go buy something which is, say, about a couple of months as somebody is promising you.
Jayashree, do you have options for him on the website that fit this demand?
Yes, actually, we're just coming out with the prop index in the coming week, and we have a section called Home in Your Budget. So we ran Arun's budget on the prop index, and we found that there are about 7 or 8 sectors in Gurgaon where you will be able to get something within your budget. Sector 68 and Sona Road are the most promising ones. Here, there are good developers, and you will get roughly about 1,500 to about 1,700 square feet. There are many other sectors, sectors 69, 77, 81, 82. These are all projects, like I said, in various stages of completion. Just a rider to Arun, when you're buying a property, in addition to looking for something that is nearing completion or will be completed in the next 6 months to a year, you should also look at how livable that area is going to be. Gurgaon is typically an area where there are sections of Gurgaon where the livability is far away. You have a 2-year horizon. If you go into an area which is not going to be very livable in terms of its transport connectivity, public transport, access to utilitarian facilities like daily retail and so on, then you will be stuck. Your house will be ready, but you will not be able to stay there comfortably. So in addition to looking for a good developer and a project that is nearing completion, you should also look for a part of Gurgaon that is livable.
All right, Ghulam, I want to come back to the second part of his question where he actually said, should I fund this investment through a bank so that my investment is protected in case the developer defaults? Actually, taking a bank loan will do the exact opposite, because in case the developer defaults, Arun, you will be paying your home loan and you won't have a house to show for it. But, just to take a quick detour on this question, if he is going to take a home loan and he lives in Dubai, is there a possibility that he'll get a far lower interest rate from borrowing from a bank there?
Well, that's something which only Arun would know, because not many banks in Dubai would be giving him a loan for a property in India. So that's a big rider, because the banks over there will not be able to take Indian property as security in terms of anything going wrong. So I don't think he'll be able to raise a loan, a home loan, and keep his Indian property as a security. So he will have to look at the home loan in Indian market only, which will be in our current whatever rates we are facing.
Okay, all right. Those rates don't look like they're coming down anytime soon. We have another question about Noida. Rohit Shah has written in. He wants to buy a 3 BHK flat in Noida with a budget of 75 lakh rupees. Looking for possession in the next 6 to 8 months. Is it safe to buy a house in sector 75 or 77 Noida, where the NGT has some issues relating to the bird sanctuary? I've shortlisted the JM Aroma building in Sector 75 and the Civitec Sampriti building in Sector 77. Which do you suggest? Well, Jayashree, here's an example of those legal problems. What would you recommend he does? Should he go ahead with those purchases?
One of these sectors, I think it's Sector 77, which comes in the NGT, but there are parts of the sector that come in it. I think the best thing would be to actually go to a local broker and check out whether this comes in the NGT, because if it is, please don't touch it. It does. There is a risk that this may go into problems. So please go and check with the local brokers before you put your money in. Go check it out. The people on the ground will be able to advise you.
Well, Ghulam, if it turns out that there is a problem with one of these, with a 75 lakh rupee budget, is there another neighborhood you could recommend to him within the Noida or the Greater Noida area?
Look, at least the sectors he has selected, which is talking about 75 and 77 both. Currently, the problem is about the radius that is being discussed. Currently, it's about 10 kilometers from the bird sanctuary. That's a green or environment protected zone. you see 10 kilometers would actually be going out of the Noida. And that's the whole concern, that if you're talking about these sectors and asking about any close localities, I would say, hey, if you are so concerned about the green concerns, then rather go to Ghaziabad, or for that matter to Faridabad or some such location if you have to get out of Noida. But Greater Noida also could be one option. The options are a lot, but currently the location he has selected are currently very risky because of this whole green environmental thing.
All right, so those, you'll have to be very careful and do a lot of research before you go ahead and consider those locations. Srinivas Murthy has written in, he wants to buy a plot of land of about 300 square yards with a budget of 60 lakh rupees to construct an independent house in Sikandrabad. Please give me areas that I can look for. Gulam?
Well, Sikandrabad market itself is pretty dense, and because it's an old city side of area, first of all, getting developed properties is a big pain, and any developer taking up new development, I tried to look at my database. I couldn't find more than 4 or 5 projects in the whole of it. And finding a land parcel will be kind of searching for a needle in the haystack. And that's a current issue with Sikandrabad. The development has shifted away from the center of the city. All your Gachibowli, Madhapur, Kukatpalli and lots of Medchal, these are the areas where you have availability of land where the developments are happening. In Sikandrabad, unfortunately, I could not find a single reputed developer with a couple of, say, 25, 30 kind of apartments or more to offer. What we are here talking about is a plot of land. I don't think it's going to be so easy to locate one, either from a developer or from the free market.
Jayashree, anything there in the second sale market for him?
Yes, there is. In the second sale market, we do have options. Alwal is one place where he would be able to get roughly 200 to 300 square yards, and these are all resale properties, 45 to 55 lakh. Sainikpuri, we have a few options, and Kaukur is another area within Sikandrabad where there are options in plots. Like Ghulam said, there are not too many options, but yes, we have about 8 or 10 options for him within his budget, and I think he should be able to find something.
All right, welcome back. You're watching the Property Guide in ET now. Thank you for staying with us. We're going to focus on questions we get about Bangalore because we get so many. Srinivas has written in, he wants to buy a 2 or a 2.5 bedroom flat with about 1,500 square feet for end use, preferably in East and South or South Bangalore, with a budget of 90 lakhs to 1 crore rupees. He says he wants the property to have good amenities and for possession in early 2016. Please give me some recommendations on the region I should consider. Ghulam?
Well, this is once again a market where options are aplenty.
Yes.
The problem will be selecting the right one out of so many hundreds of apartments or choices that you will have. And because the location preference as both east and south of Bangalore, that traditionally has been the old Bangalore market for a long time. Southern Bangalore has been, so many apartments have come in. In fact, there's a deluge of apartments, and because of which the sales in this area have not been too good in last year or so, and especially with the north coming up as a new location, new destination, lots of buyers have been shifting there. So huge amount of inventory existing in the whole of this belt of south and east side of Bangalore, whether you're talking about electronic cities, Sarjapur, Bannerghatta, or the whole lot of
almost
options.
Every large name is building in that area.
Practically every builder, you name it, from Bangalore or from outside. If you talk about the Unitex or Piramalls of the world, Hiranandanis, etc., are there. You talk about the local reputed developers, whether it is Prestige or Purvankaras or Embassy or you name it. Everybody, as I said, for last so many years, the whole focus used to be south and east of Bangalore. Huge amount of work has been done there. And as I said, the inventory is also a lot. So he's going to have he will be spoiled for choices. There will be so many of them available around.
All right, a lot of options available for you. If you want to narrow that down, of course, choose based on social infrastructure and roads and where the nearest bottleneck is to your office. That's something I know that a lot of people in Bangalore are very concerned about. Well, Indranil Bhattacharya has written in, he's looking to buy a 4-bedroom villa or a villamint of about 3,000 square feet within 12 kilometers of Indranagar near the outer ring road. He has a budget of 2.5 crore rupees, and he's looking for a big community. He needs it to be ready to move in, or at least in the next 6 months. He's okay with resale as well. Please give me some good options. Jayashree, that is a handsome budget for Bangalore, but given his specifications, is there anything in the market for him?
he won't be able to get anything in the size that he's looking for in JP Nagar, but Indira Nagar and ORR, he should be able to. Indira Nagar, for instance, we have 2.2 to 2.3 crore. We have a size of 2900 to 3600, which is well within his size. ORR, you can get about 2400 to about 4200 square feet. Plenty of options, and in JP Nagar, you will only be able to get about a 1200 to 2200 square feet apartment here.
All right, I'm going to take one last question. Kiran has written in, he's looking to buy a 1200 or 1500 square foot plot to build a house to live in with a budget of 30 to 40 lakh rupees. He says the radius that he's interested in is about 10 kilometers around Bellandur or the ORR. And he says if it's not available in that radius, please suggest a radius which I can get something in this budget for. He's willing to go up to 15 to 20 kilometers. Please give me some good projects or some good locations. Gulam?
Well, because the choice from Bellandur Lake is kind of heart of the city. And from there, 20 kilometers are actually going way out of the city. So there
almost
I'm sure.
in Tamil Nadu.
Well, you perhaps land in Tamil Nadu from there. So my point is that unlimited options once again, because if you are opening up to go say 15 kilometers, even up to 10 kilometers, you will have options, but I guess it will be more 50 to 75 lakh rupees kind of a budget if you want to stay close by. And then once again, the radius that you're talking about of 20 kilometers from Bellandur actually has the whole of south, east, as well as even some part of west. In fact, you could actually go up north as well, because that 20-kilometer radius from Bellandur actually is giving you the whole city. So to me, once again, it's a question which requires to be drilled down to understand exact location. But if it is 20 kilometers, you can buy anything in Bangalore.
Jashi, very, very quickly, should he stay with BDA locations? The Development Authority has already looked after, say, water, electricity, roads, that sort of thing. If he is looking at a budget of 30 to 40 lakh rupees, he might have to go slightly in the opposite direction than North Bangalore. What would you recommend? Are a couple of tips for someone who's buying land in Bangalore?
If you have a small budget, look for the facilities. And this is what my surveys have always shown. When you have a 30 to 40 lakh budget, you are actually looking at the basics, the water, the power, the quality of roads and things like that, and public transport. Another thing, when I looked at the site, places like Banaswadi and Gotigere, you will be able to get about a 1100 square feet apartment in your budget. I have, in the resale market, I have some listings of these areas. But please check the legality of the property, do a good title search because you have a small budget. Be very careful to read the papers carefully, and also invest a little bit in getting a legal opinion, because it's important in the resale market that you do check that the titles are clear.
All right. Unfortunately, we've run out of time on this show. Half an hour goes by that quickly. If you have a question for either of our guests, feel free to write to us. Our email ID is on your screen, and of course you can reach me on Twitter. Gulam, thank you so much for joining us. Jayashree, it's always a pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you for joining us on the show as well. Thank you so much for watching.